Hello everyone, welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nandkyoliar and today we are here to talk about the Gen Z protest taking place in Madagascar, which have actually forced the President, Mr. Andry Rajoelina, to flee the country. So let's see what's happening in Madagascar. Madagascar right now is witnessing huge protests which are led by the youth of the country. They are led by Generation Z and it all started on 25th of September. In the capital, Antananarivo. Now, the immediate cause of these protests were service delivery issues. There were power supply shortages, electricity outrage, water supply shortage. All these things basically forced the students of Antananarivo, the youth of Antananarivo, to start a protest. So, the protest started on service delivery issues. But it has brought bigger and deeper grievances onto the surface. Deeper grievances like your poverty, unemployment, corruption, nepotism, inflation and everything of that sort. We saw similar protests take place in Nepal also. Similar Gen Z protests took place in Morocco as well. And now we are seeing these Gen Z protests in Madagascar, which means that youth across the world is now awakening and they are taking things into their own hands. That is why we see the frequency of such protests rising across the world. So right now in Madagascar, it all started on 25th of September, but things took a turn on 9th and 10th of October when an elite army group, CampSat, it sided with the protesters. So it basically refused to fire on the protesters and it sided with the protesters, and right now the president, Mr. Andry Rajoelina, he has left the country citing security concerns. He says that his life is in threat, which means now you understand the gravity of the situation. A sitting president feels that his life is under threat and that is why he has left his own country. But the problem here is that he has not vacated his position. He is just not there in the country. He has moved to a third location. He's moved to a hidden location. We do not know where he is, but there's speculations that he might be in France because he was seen moving out in a French airline aircraft, but we do not know where exactly he is because France has not confirmed anything. But a sitting president had to move out because there were concerns, there was a threat on his life. So that is the reason that he now moved out. That is the gravity of this protest at the moment. But before we understand the nitty-gritties of everything, let us first learn a little bit about Madagascar, because Madagascar as a region becomes very important for our examination. So Madagascar is an island country. It is situated in the Indian Ocean. In fact, it is the 4th largest island in the world. And it is separated from Mozambique via the Mozambique Channel. Capital is Antananarivo, from where the protests began. Now, Madagascar is rich in natural resources. It is rich in oil and natural gas resources. It has untapped energy. It has untapped potential of hydroelectricity. It is rich in strategic minerals and rare earth minerals as well. In fact, it has Africa's largest known reserves of chromite. Africa's largest known reserves of chromite. Then 30 to 50% of the world's sapphires are also produced in this region. Then it is also the largest producer and exporter of vanilla. And then there's untapped potential of oil and natural gas, hydroelectricity as well. And if you talk about biodiversity, then biodiversity wise also it is very rich, because roughly 90% of all the biodiversity that you see in Madagascar is endemic to the region, which means you will not find it anywhere else, like lemurs. Lemurs are only found in Madagascar. Baobab trees, these are only found in Madagascar. So 90% of the biodiversity is endemic to the region, and of course the region has huge mangrove forests, they have coral reefs, all these things are also there. So this region becomes very important. It has huge amount of natural resources and stability in this region needs to be maintained. Peace in this region needs to be maintained because it is a strategic part of the Indian Ocean. Now let's talk about the protests in detail. So what's happening? The president has moved to a hidden location, moved to a different location. But the same president enjoyed army support once. So in 1960, if we talk about the history of Madagascar, Madagascar used to be a French colony. In 1960, it gained its independence. Now fast forward to 2008-9, where Andry Rajoelina, who was at that time the mayor of Antananarivo, he was protesting against the then president. There were charges of corruption against the then president and he was protesting against that. Now he at that time was supported by the same army group, CAMPSAT. He was supported by the same army group, and this basically brought about a coup in the region, where the sitting president had to step down, and Mr. Andry, he formed something. He formed a transitional government, High Transitional Authority, formed a transitional government in Madagascar. So 2009 to 2013, he was heading this transitional government, and he had gained this support from the military. He had gained this support from CAMPSAT, which was an elite military group. Now the same group has sided with the protesters. Now till 2013, he was the head of the interim government. In 2013, there were elections. Now, why did we call the 2009 transitional government, why did we call this to be a coup? Because there was no general election. It was only an overthrow of the current rule. That is why this was a coup. Now, in 2013, there were elections and Mr. Andry was defeated. He had to step down. But in 2018, there were fresh elections and Mr. Andry won. He came back to power, this time via proper elections. 2023 again, he was re-elected. Now, what is the problem? People in Madagascar, the youth in Madagascar, they basically feel that during his reign, all the time, on all these years, he has basically been focusing on corruption. He has been focusing on filling his own pocket, filling the pocket of the government officials. And the people in Madagascar are living in utter poverty. So much so that the entire country, it is one of the poorest countries, that 75% of the population in Madagascar, it lives below the poverty line. That is the severity of the situation here. People are earning, people have jobs, but the standard of living or the cost of living in Madagascar, that is very, very high. The amount of money that they're earning, the salary that they're getting, it is not sufficient to basically sustain their lives. So that is a major challenge here. Poverty is the major challenge here. Unemployment and the cost of living is a major challenge here. And the youth basically feels that Mr. Andry has not been doing enough to deal with all these things. That is why they took things into their own hands. What started as a service delivery issue then moved to deeper situations. It moved to deeper grievances. And now what we are witnessing are violent protests. But the way forward here is that proper dialogues happen between both the stakeholders. Now, because a third party is involved, because Mr. President has moved to a hidden location, we do not know which location that is. So a third party has been involved. It is no longer a sovereign issue. So we need to take care of such things, that the situation in Madagascar can only be resolved when things happen at a sovereign level, when both the stakeholders, the protesters and the government, they sit together on the negotiation table and things happen in that direction. As far as India is concerned, India has not released any official statements till now, but whatever India's stance is, mostly India's stance in such situations is that we want peace and restraint to be practiced by all the stakeholders there. And if situations worsen, then we'll be deeply monitoring the situation. But if it worsens, then proper evacuation will also happen, because the security of our nationals is our major concern. So this is what's happening in Madagascar at the moment. We can hope that the situation, it comes under control and these violent protests can now stop. Now let's practice a question for prelims. And before we do that, which of the following statements about Madagascar is or are correct? 1. Madagascar is the world's 4th largest island and is located in the Indian Ocean off the southeastern coast of Africa. 2. Lemurs, a group of primates, are found naturally only in Madagascar. Choose the correct option. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Please provide your answers in the comment section and we will meet in a new video. Thank you for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.